Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I have some somewhat sad news. So here's sort of the deal. I was originally going to do Silky versus QXC, but I'm starting to think more and more about it. I have an 8-hour broadcast that I have to do tomorrow for an event that I run called NA Ladder Heroes and EU Ladder Heroes that are coming back to back. And when my co-casters bailed out, so I kind of need to go find a new one, and I might be solo casting it, and I don't want to lose my voice. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to do one more series, and what I'm specifically going to do, and this is going to be where some spoilers kind of come out about exactly who is still in Challenger and who everything, but one of the players I'm about to broadcast for the next match is still in Challenger and still has a good shot at qualifying, because they are going to be playing a qualifying match in about 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. So we're going to be hopping into Bales versus Raze. This is going to be a best of 3 from the losers round 3? Losers round 2. So losers round 2. But it was a Protoss versus Terran. Both of these guys are really freaking awesome. I'm a huge fan of both of them. To give you guys a little bit more of an idea about them, take a look at our awesome stats page. So these guys, we got Bales from Team Elevate, the American Protoss player. Bales has been one of those guys that I think he's potentially always had this, he's always had this potential to be one of the top players in North America, but it feels as though the commitment hasn't always been there for him. He's oftentimes been very invested into school and, you know, other just aspects of life, I feel. And he kind of comes and goes in waves of, it seems like he's playing a lot of StarCraft, and it doesn't seem like he's playing almost any StarCraft at all. But the really cool thing about Bales is that he is a very solid Protoss player. He's a macro-oriented Protoss player, which he's been a macro-oriented Protoss player for a long time. Not just more recently, it has been since Wings of Liberty, he's always been that kind of macro-oriented Protoss player, when every other Protoss was just 2-base all-inning every game. So I'm really interested to see how he's going to do against this guy who is known as Raze, known as a bit of a cheeky player. Loves playing this more adaptive playstyle. We got to see him play a series versus Jon Snow earlier today, if you guys were paying attention to that or tuning in. I think that was the second series we did today. And it was like, what, 5 hours ago or something? But it should be pretty fun. We're hopping on to Odyssey for game number 1. I really want to show like their matchup history and everything, but if I do, then it'll also show what the actual results of this particular series was. So we're going to skip out on that and just hop straight to the map intro. We'll see you guys there for our final series of the day. Here we are, game number 1 in this best of 3 from the losers round 2. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Protoss player from Elevate. Give it up for Bales, the American Protoss. And the opponent spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the purple Terran player going for a double gas opening. Oh boy. We have from Sloth Esports Club, Raze. And again, just to note, I won't spoil it, and of course I ask that you don't spoil it in the chat, but one of these players is currently in the qualifying match. They ended up advancing on from their losers bracket match all the way over to the qualifying match, and are going to be playing in about 2 hours today. But look at this, Bales seeing that there is going to be a proxy coming down as we have a Reaper being made. Proxy Reaper with a factory coming down on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Okay, interesting. Bales made a pylon to block the wall off from his opponent. That is the purpose of that pylon. Oh, almost gets the surround on the Reaper. That could have been huge. Shutting that down and buying himself a little bit more time because this Reaper comes in a little bit faster than most pros players would expect. So your Adept or your Stalker, your Mothership Core are all not out quite in time. But now, 2 Reapers going to be able to move in over here. Now these can actually start doing some legitimate damage. It's a lot easier for these 2 Reapers to actually get some damage done to a Protoss player who's not quite entirely ready. Mothership Core is going to try and make its way around. I thought it may have been trying to make its way over to the main base to flinch an overcharge, but look at this one cheeky little zealot that Bales made, walked its way across the map, waltzed into the mineral line, and is now shutting down some of the mining of Raze. What is this game? This is a game that only Raze could be involved in. Well, Zealot will be taken care of by the Reaper. Ooh, gets a kill before it dies, though. Let's see how many kills it can get up to. 3 kills. Almost gets a 4th SCV. Really, really good damage for Bales. Absolutely taking the advantage in this. Hasn't taken a natural expansion either. Is chrono boosting out Warp Gate and has a Robo out. The cool thing about having the Robo out is that, yeah, he's making an Immortal right now, but he can actually follow this up with a Warp Prism and continue to put pressure on Raze. But Raze, with the Proxy Factory, went straight up into a Proxy Starport. Look at this. Look at these positionings for these buildings. I mean, what the actual hell? Raze is insane. But here we go. We got Cloak Banshees coming out with double Cyclones coming out from the factory. He's going to be able to take on the... Oh my god, he can obliterate these Stalkers. There's no way this Nexus actually goes up. He needs a pylon over here to defend it. And Immortal's going to be coming down, but there's the cancel. And at the same time, the Reapers make their way into the backside, trying to get some additional damage done, killing off a few workers of his own. He's going to lose both of the Reapers in exchange for, it looks like, 2 workers total. But also, canceling that Nexus is a pretty nice win, because Raze does not have a Nexus on the way at all. Really does need to kill that pylon at some point, though. Oh, Cyclones taking some damage. A Widowmine does come into the mix. One of the Cyclones does get picked off, and Bales knows about that Widowmine, so he's not just going to be running into it. He's actually looking for potential to get some more damage done on it. Pylon finally is starting to get it obliterated. 0 defensive mechanisms for that pylon whatsoever. If only Mothership Cores could recall to pylons. How great would that be? You just recall to a pylon and start flipping overcharging it. I don't see anything wrong with that. Bale's going to be making his way across the map, though, with a very small number of units. The thing is, he has a Warp Prism behind this. Only 2 Warp Gates, though. His reinforcement potential is going to be rather low. And there may or may not be a Banshee out right now. With Cloak and 0 observers out on the map. Raze could very well come back home with one of these Banshees. Okay, there is an observer. There is an observer being rallied across the map. It looks like Bales is onto this. But the problem is, there's an observer on the other side of the map. Is there going to be an observer at home? He is making another one. But with 2 Banshees, you can hit in from 2 different angles. Already the natural expansion has been cleaned up. 1 worker killed off so far. Looks like the Widowmine is going to be taken care of. Oh, looks like that's probably the reason why he made the observers. Clutch and overcharge used, but there's no observer over here to actually detect it. Observer's coming in. He baits it. Oh god, the Banshee gets really close to those clutch and overcharges, ends up being taken out. The other Banshee inside the natural expansion is up to 4 kills, though. And Bales is starting to push on forward. Natural Command Center is finished for Raze. Gonna be losing a lot of these supply depots, and probably gonna get supply block with this next one going down. No. Finishes up another supply depot. He has some bunkers as well, so this is going to be a very difficult break for Bales to actually pull off. But even just denying a natural for a little bit is good. He's going to eventually be able to push back those Banshees. Looks like another one of the supply depots is going to go down, and that's a bit of a supply block. Where is Bales' Warp Prism, though? That is the real question. It's making its way back across the map. I don't know why it retreated back home. Well, Bales is doing a nice job defending against any additional Banshee harassment. There's still this one Banshee just sitting in vision range of all these stalkers. Almost just Raze saying, hey, you are not allowed to move out with everything you have. You have to keep some defenses back at home. Otherwise, I'll just start wreaking havoc. Oh, Raze feeling comfortable to start salvaging the bunkers. Maybe regretting that decision. The War Prism elevators up, some of these units up into the main base. Gonna be able to take out the barracks that was researching combat shields. That's a huge pain in the butt. Seems like some force field's gonna be coming down, but force field's coming down on the Marines would have been maybe more useful on these SCVs, to be honest. Oh, he still has force fields left over though, so it looks like Bales does disagree with me. The Immortals can do a lot of damage to that one siege tank, and there's barely any Marines left over. The War Prism's still low on health, and oh god, beautiful force fields segmenting off those Marines, saying no way in hell are you getting on top of this army. That siege tank is slowly cutting down the area that Bales can really work with though. And you can see he's starting to elevator back out. Oh, Banshee getting some more damage on the main base. Looks like Bales not quite prepared for that. Up to 10 kills now. Mining at the natural expansion is also started back up. This Banshee up to 11 kills. This is the most frustrating feeling in the world, where you have the observers. There's 2 observers. You can just split one up between each. Don't even take the stalkers in the same control group. Just leave them. Leave an observer like right here, and right here. Okay, Bales gets a force field down. Gonna be able to kill all of these workers. He has one more force field left over. I don't think the sentry's gonna be able to get enough energy for the next force field soon enough. Immortals go hard on this siege tank, killing it off. One last force field is thrown down, and Bales warping in some more sentries, but most of the units do make their way through. The War Prism gets taken out. More force fields being thrown down. Bales loses a lot of very expensive units. Could be losing some more, but Raze is also losing a lot of his economy. The Banshee's the Liberator is actually doing some damage. What is this game? Banshee killing off one of the Stalkers. The Liberator sieging up a little bit further forward. Might be able to kill the Stalker. Oh! Gets one shot off. Doesn't quite get the second one. Liberator will be taken out at the same time. The Immortals get cleaned up on the other side of the map. It's back and forth trades. Neither of these players are going to have anything left to be aggressive with in a moment, as there goes down that final Liberator. And does this game finally balance out now? Do we finally have a normal game just with a slightly weird timer saying that we're at the 10-minute mark, but realistically, both players are about where you would expect them to be? I guess the combat shields is going to be pretty late. He does have stim and +1. And there's going to be this awkward starport on the other side of the map. But Bales has his robo. He's been making, he's making more units. Unfortunately, he lost so many of the really important units he needed to keep alive. Oh god, Liberator still, number 2 is coming out, denying mining for a little bit. There are some Stalkers coming in from the backside. Blink is also finished up. Liberator's just gonna go forward a little bit further though. Might siege up in the main base. Stalker DPS not that high. If he actually keeps this Liberator alive for even just 10 to 15 more seconds, he might catch a lot of these Stalkers. One Cyclone catches them. The stim comes forward. Bales loses one Stalker because he already has Blink on. Oh no, Blink isn't on cooldown, but he does Blink forward on top of the siege tank. Nice hot pickup, keeps the siege tank alive. GG gets called. Bales taps out, and Raze takes game number 1. What a game. NA StarCraft, ladies and gentlemen. Wouldn't have it any other way. No. Not that Korean, super duper well executed, everything is very normal kind of, no. NA StarCraft. Anything can happen. Okay. I was a little bit surprised by Bales tapping out over there, but I mean, he was very far behind. He had lost all of his Immortals. He was continuing to lose more and more mining inside of his natural expansion to the Liberator. Even just more Liberators coming out would have been difficult to deal with. And he saw that the siege tank wasn't getting killed off. He saw that his Stalkers started losing their lives. So, at the end of the day, Bales just wants to move on to the next map, not worry too much about what happened in game number 1. It was weird. It's time to bounce back. So we hop onto Proxima Station. Okay, here we are in game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be starting up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, atop the purple Terran player, sitting up 1-0 after some crazy proxy shenanigans. Give it up for Raze from Sloth Esports Club. And his opponent is mine down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, a man known as Solid Bales. Representing Team Elevate, of course, I've already said his name, it's Bales. Okay, so just a heads up, I run a tournament called Ladder Heroes. It is a competition that happens on the North American and European ladders. And there's something called ladder locks. It's very similar to the WCS Challenger system for ladder stuff. But it happens every single week instead of just whenever there's a season challenger. And the reason why I bring this up is not to advertise it, but to the fact that you guys are going to hear an alarm go off in probably about 3 minutes to remind me to do the ladder lock for EU Ladder Heroes. So do forgive me, and I'll probably even have to pause the game for a slight moment. Oh my god. Holy cow. Bales. He's on to you, Raze. He's on to you, Jay Whipple. Proxy Factory coming down, but it gets immediately scouted out. Raze is already too invested into this with such a delayed command center that he has to do something with it. He's going to float it over, but look at this. Bales is just going to try and deny it from landing. Oh, even causing the bait out. He even brings another probe over there. If he brought one more probe in, he could even prevent it from landing over here. This is actually hilarious. By the way, building vision is a little bit shorter than worker vision, I believe. The flying building vision is not quite as good, so Bales can actually juke and jive this a lot. But oh my god, having to land it over here. This is the path that Raze is going to have to take his Widowmine all the way up and around, over here. We're not done yet. Up and around, and then finally walk his way into the mineral line. Yeah, like hell, that's actually going to happen effectively. Starport does finish up. Oh god, the Mothership Core nearly killing the SCV before it finished up the Starport. It is going to get up a medevac, so it can drop that Widowmine off. But Bales is so hyper aware of all of this now. He has a Robo going up. He's going to Chrono Boost that Observer. You bet your butt he is. And behind this, Raze has got not a whole lot back at home. Got 2 Marines, looks like 5 Marines making their way across the map trying to do something. It's not over, though. Raze can still try to get some lucky hits. Let's see, Widowmine number 1 is out. Where is it? Oh, it did walk its way forward. Oh. Interesting shade. Oh, Widowmine surviving with 4 hit points left over. He's going to move into the main base. Observer scouts this out. Photon overcharge coming out in range. Perfect range. Holy cow. I know this is like something that will just seem so simple and easy, but that is the absolute perfect range to photon overcharge any units to unload in the main base. That's a really underrated skill. I think a lot of pros players actually mess that up. I feel like I've seen Zest mess that up before. But here we go. Raze unloads inside the main base and not able to make a whole lot happen. Has to back out of there with a medevac. That's EU Ladder Heroes. Okay, in about 30 seconds I have to pause this game and handle that. Handle it. Twilight Council comes out behind this for Bales. He has a massive economic lead with a 39 worker to 26 worker advantage. He also has a tech on the correct side of the map. That's a really nice advantage, but his Liberator is actually causing some problems. Bales doesn't have a really good way of dealing with this other than just going for broke. He goes after the medevac, but he's going to be losing a lot of his stalkers in the process. At least he does manage to kill everything off, and Bales still walks away probably pretty happy with how things just traded out. Okay, behind this, finally, Raze is going for a 3rd command center. Try and play a bit of catch-up, knowing how far behind he is. His starport just made a tech lab. Okay, Raze. This is where we have like the to be continued. Pause. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I have to handle Ladder Heroes. I'm sorry, guys. I want to see what happens in this game too, okay? I also would like to see what happens in this game, but I have to do this. Blizzard is literally paying me to do this. Okay. Almost done. Almost done. All right, we're good. Let us resume. Okay, here we go. Blink is going to be coming out, allowing him to handle those Liberators a lot better. But as Cloak Banshees also make their way forward, this is going to become a really, really weird situation. Bales has been making a lot of observers. He's actually still just making more and more observers, which I really, really like. He's also getting aggressive with his War Prism on the other side of the map, able to get some pretty good damage done, killing off more workers, something that Raze really cannot afford to be losing right now. In fact, these Adepts may just be enough to... Oh no, surely you can't just win the game here. If he warps him some more... Good micro out of Bales, not losing any of these guys. And it seems like eventually things are cleaned up. Only the Immortal ends up surviving, but Bales bringing Raze's worker count down to just 21. Sorry, did I say 21? I meant to say 20. And juking and jiving these Marines every which way, which, by the way, still do not have stim. Don't even have the Tech Lab researching stim until just now. Or I presume very soon. Well, that one Widowmine did manage to get a kill, it looks like. Catching Bales by surprise. The Immortal also managed to kill another worker or two. Oh, this is just such dominating control from Bales after a very weird game. Oh my god, Raze! Oh my god, Raze, please never change. Cloak Banshee from the mineral line, and then also just lands a factory and starts making Widow Mines. Just run in the Widow Mines. Look at this. Bales is actually having trouble keeping up with all this because his Banshees are doing so much damage and pulling Bales in every which way that the Widowmine actually has managed to come out and burrow, but no! Probe pull from Bales takes it out at the last absolute second. So close to getting that shot off. It did, I feel like it did burrow. I saw that targeting icon or reticule. Third Banshee now coming out. Raze is doing a good job keeping these Banshees alive. There is only real advantage in this game. Oh, but as I say that, the commentator curse. Fresh Banshee goes down. Another Banshee getting very low. Widowmine burrows. Gets a kill. It looks like it's just probably a worker kill. He's still making Banshees. He's got the third command center. He's not actually doing anything with the third command center, unfortunately, for Raze. He knows that these Banshees will buy time by keeping the Stalkers at home, but there's nothing to prevent Adepts or whatever from moving out across the map if Raze tried to take too quick of a third expansion. Even though Bales may be losing workers every so often, as it looks like another worker ends up falling. We see that Bales is still sitting at a very comfortable 56 workers to just the measly 37 that Raze has on the other side of the map. Raze may have even fewer very soon, as he might even have to pull some workers to deal with this. The Stalkers alone might actually be too scary for Raze to deal with, considering he only just finished up Stim, does not have combat shields, is just barely starting that up right now. Still, really got to commend Raze. This Banshee harassment is something else. But the third command center is going to get caught out of position. May end up actually just burning to the ground. Looks like the Banshees also get cleaned up. Bales is making his way forward, taking out the reactor, taking out the barracks. Command center is going to burn down to the very ground, just like Raze's chances in this game. As he's now supply blocked and sitting at 80 supply to 138. Bales with some good War Prism micro is going to be able to make his way up this ramp without a problem. Guardian Shield also heavily reducing the damage he's taking. And in the meanwhile, he's got a third expansion healthily mining. Could probably grab these gas guys at some point. You're especially oversaturated, man. There you go. But Raze does not give up. He really does not. Reactor medevac production happening at that proxy starport. Does he even have a factory anymore? He does not. If Bales finds that damn starport and kills it, Raze actually has to reproduce his factory before he can remake the starport. Oh man, a little bit supply blocked as well. Well, unsupply blocks himself pretty quickly. Resident Glaze finally coming out after all this time, since Bales has been relying heavily on those Blink Stalkers instead. He's also got Charge. Oh my god, he's gotten every single Twilight Council upgrade. Charge, Resonating Glaives, and Blink. Getting up a Templar Archives, going full on the Gateway unit tech. Knocks down the Destructible Rocks, not necessarily even just to take a 4th expansion, but I think off really just to cut down the reinforcement path for any Robo units that might make their way across the map. Blinks forward. He's gonna find the army. Guardian Shield's coming out. Slaughters so much of this Bioforce. The Medivacs go down, I think, again. Down with the Medivacs and that 3rd Command Center. Go raise his chances in this game. GG is called. Bales is gonna end up taking game number 2. Tying up the series 1-1. Big congratulations to Bales, keeping his hopes alive for WCS NA Challenger as we hop into game number 3 of our final series for the day. Again, I just want to apologize. I really wanted to cast more, but I gotta be wary about my voice. I really have to be concerned about it not actually surviving as long as I needed to. Okay, well, our next map is going to be Ascension to Ire. We'll see you guys there. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are in the match point game. Game number 3 of this best of 3 losers round 2 match. The winner of these 2 players eventually moved on to face off in a qualifying match in about an hour, or sorry, 2 hours. You can check that out and find out who that was if you don't know already. But here we have in the top left-hand corner of the map, the purple Terran player from Sloth Esports Club. Give it up for Raze. His opponent spawned down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Team Elevate's very own Blue Protoss, Bales. I don't call him Solid Bales for nothing, as he really just... I mean, okay, to be fair, Raze did some crazy stuff with that Banshee harassment. It's frustrating, I think, at a certain point where you know what your opponent's doing. You know this weird style of harassment, and theoretically it's always just, oh, well, I have the observers. I detect the Banshees and I have Stalkers. I should just be able to defend this. But things just get complicated when you have Banshees running around between your bases every which way. Your Stalkers just aren't quite enough. The Banshees will move in, take a little bit of damage from your Stalkers because they just don't do damage fast enough, and kill a few workers back out of there. There's more Banshees coming in. It's just, everything just seems to be going wrong. But Bales still managed to hold strong, stay mentally focused, and take that game. Despite all the kind of hurdles that Raze kept throwing at him, similar to game number 1. But Raze won game number 1. I don't know if Bales is going to be falling for too many more shenanigans, and Raze seems to be aware of that. He's not going for any kind of proxies. This is the scary thing about Raze. You've been seeing this one very particular side of Raze, and that's that he loves going for these crazy proxies and all-ins. But he is, in fact, a player that can play a very reasonable macro-oriented game. In fact, he gave a lot of really good players at DreamHack Austin a good run for their money, just playing very straight-up games. Now, he is going to be going for the Tech Lab onto this barracks next to the starport. We could just very well be seeing another Banshee opening. Everything that I just said could completely go out the window. But no, we're going to be seeing Medevac come out. We're going to be seeing Stim most likely coming out. 2 Hellions coming in also. This is a bit more peculiar. A little bit more Drunken Boy style from back in the Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm days. Getting some good damage done. Reaper also makes his way into the back of the main base. You can see that Bale's making a few mistakes. Has a lot of workers pulled over to this robotics facility. Maybe a bad rally point even. Oh no. Just fix that up. Reaper. So close to getting out. Get out of there, Raze! Damn it. Okay, well. Lost opportunity. Still, he was very annoying. Forced some lost mining time, and look at that idle time. Bales actually still has an idle worker somewhere. I'm not sure where that is. Oh, looks like he fixed it. But 2 Widowmine's going to be dropping inside of Bales' main base. He's got a good pylon coverage to cover this angle, but if the Widowmines actually just drop in behind the mineral line, I don't think that Bales can actually clean that up. If Raze identifies this, he drops 1 in the mineral line and another just barely in range of that photon overcharge. If he even dropped just a little bit further, I think he would have been out of range, but a very solid cleanup from Bales. That's going to put him in a massive lead in this game. There is still going to be that Liberator coming out, but oh, the beautiful scout with the Observer sees the follow-up. And because of that, now he's going to warp in purely Stalkers to help deal with this. He used 2 photon overcharges, so he's going to be a little bit lighter on remaining photon overcharges left over for any kind of follow-up aggression. But Blink is coming out. Liberator is theoretically just going to get shut down immediately. He's not just sitting at the edge because he wants to bait this Liberator forward. He doesn't want to just siege up like this and be way back outside of Stalker range. So now, Liberator sieges up. He pulls out, loses 1 worker, but can now immediately start to punish that Liberator. Doesn't quite get it, but of course, does a little bit of damage. Has a few Stalkers sitting in his main base as well, but takes a 3rd expansion very, very quickly, feeling confident after that defense against the Widowmine drop. Now, Raze is macroing up a normal Protoss army behind this. You got Reactor Factory, can pump out some Widowmines, but the 3rd expansion is most... Oh, okay. I was going to say most likely going to be a lot later for Raze, but really not that much later. This might just be Ascension Ire meta or something like that. But War Prism moves its way up along the top right-hand side of the map. We have Charge being researched over here for Bales. Now, it's kind of funny because we haven't had a normal game between these two. So you haven't really seen Bales' Protoss versus Terran, but I actually got to watch Bales versus Semper, Bales versus somebody else. No, I was thinking of Semper versus Peely Peely. But I did get to see Bales versus Semper, and Bales' PvT is super duper solid. When it goes into the mid and late game stages, if he can get into that late game stage, he gets up his Colossus, he gets up the charge lots, he looks so strong. We'll hold that thought though. We do have double medevac drop, can get some good damage done. Observer scouts us out. Bales is not reacting though. Okay, he's moving the Stalkers now. Blink is finished up, so he can blink into a good position if he needs to. Trying to punish these medevacs from trying to load up. He gets 1 of them. He's gonna get some of the Marines that were left over to die. I guess the more valuable units, the most Marauders, get out alongside the medevac for Raze. But Bale has a very solid defense. The question is, when is he going to drop the Robotics Bay? He's also already dropped down 1 Forge, getting up a +1 armor upgrade. Relatively evenly timed with the +1 armor for Raze. So they're dead even on upgrades. Chronobus will make up the difference a little bit for Bales. But, man, these pickoffs on the medevacs have been so brutal for Raze to keep eating over and over and over again. He's not mining from his 3rd expansion just yet either. He's only finally now transferring over. Bales, in fact, I wonder if he's not going for a Robotics Bay anytime soon. If he's just going to try and pump out a large... Oh, he's going for a Templar Archives. Interesting. Okay. So, getting additional warp gates and just continuing to mass up a large number of gateway units makes a lot of sense. You can warp in a lot of High Templar. If you're, I mean, by producing more gateways, you're putting value into how many High Templars you can also warp in, not just gateway units. But here we go. Only 1 Liberator in the mix over here. Guardian Shield comes up to try and reduce the damage these Adepts take, but Bale's maybe over-aggressive over here, engaging into the Liberator, and now has already run out of that frontline buffer in form of the Zealots and those Adepts. Immortal's getting focus fire down. The Stalkers have to blink back, but so many of them already gone down. Even if a few workers were pulled off the line over here for Raze. That was a beautiful engagement. He took such a massive lead with that. I mean, his third expansion is also mining, and now his Liberator account is going to continue to grow. I would say it's a little bit frustrating for Raze that doesn't have that many medevacs out. And now he wants to continue Liberator production off of that starport, but kind of has to pick and choose Liberators or medevacs. Just because Bales has sniped off, I think, 3 or 4 medevacs at this point. 4 medevacs gone down so far this game. But Bales is not done just yet. Charge lots going to be making their way into the main base, trying to pick off some of those workers. And just buying Bales some space. He's got the High Templars out. He's getting up Storm. He's getting up his +2 armor upgrade. Where's that Warp Prism? Oh, just backed up. Got to reproduce all those Immortals as well if he wants to have any of them. Well, High Templar starting to build up a good bit of energy, but still a ways away from actually finishing up Storm. Stim comes out from the entire army of Raze trying to chase this down. There's 1 sentry with 2 force fields, 1 force field left over. But the Zealots drop out at the absolute perfect moment. Even taking out some of these reinforcements. Zealots going in after some of the remaining SCVs. And Bales buys himself the extra 30 seconds he needs for Storm to finish up. Getting out of Robotics Bay as well, preparing for the Colossus transition. Bales much more a Colossus player than a Disruptor player, I think. Especially in this matchup. +2 armor is very close to finishing. Is Bales getting engaged before that? I think it'd be a bit of a mistake, but oh well. Kind of teases at the engagement, sees a lot of the army over here, and there's a lot of Liberators that Bales does not want to engage into. That's how things went poorly last time. He does have Blink, he does have Stalkers, and he's moving in with that Warp Prism once again, catching one Marine that finds this army, but Raze has a... Okay, well, Raze had a large number of units over here. They still might be enough to handle just a lot of Zealots, but oh god, the friendly fire. Killing off some of the workers as well. And Bale just keeps warping in more and more Zealots. Forcing a reaction, or trying to force a reaction. Raze scans to see, is your army still there? Can I even move units back into my main base to defend this? And the answer is kind of a resounding no. Widow Mines will be off a cooldown soon once again, but oh god. So much damage is being done in the meanwhile. Attempted a drop from the bottom side, does get picked off. At least the medevac gets picked off. Some of the Zealots do lose their lives to the Widow Mines, but Bale's just, okay, starting to overcommit. He's getting a little bit impatient here. I think if he just continues to warp in more Zealots in the main base, he's eventually going to take out the production. He will eventually overpower his opponent. He's already starting to take out one of these barracks. If he starts right-clicking down some of these Zealots, not necessarily all of them. Oh, it takes out an engineering bay. That's kind of nice. It's now 2-2 versus just 2-1. With +2 armor on the way, but that'll be canceled. Widow Mines, friendly fire a little bit, but killing off most of the Zealots. And that is the cleanup, finally. Bales also moves around while Raze is distracted. Raze is throwing out the scans. He sees that the army is not there. He unsieges his Liberators, but he's not resieging over on this side. Bales may be able to lock Raze out of his own natural expansion. These Zealots have a little bit of a derp. Preemptively storming forward on the army where he expects it to be. He's got so many storms available. Liberator siege up. Storms raining down hell on this army, though. Raze cannot move up this ramp. Zealot's still doing damage. Raze is down to just 29 workers, and while I think he may even be able to clean up all the Zealots now, Bales could probably back up and feel okay. He's got a 4th expansion. He's getting up Colossus. He's got a big army. Look at all of these Colossus. High energy, High Templar. Bales can just go home. Well, apparently we have double engineering bays back down over here now. Look at all these Widow Mines. Alright, these Zealots are very dead. It's like one Widowmine per Zealot, and somehow one still survives. And that one Zealot's gonna do some serious work for 6 seconds. But this is the big Doom push. Bales comes in, not with a huge number of Zealots, which is the one kind of big concerning thing here. But, oh, one Storm locking down 4 Widowmines. Good trade, good value. But the Colossus really do make or break the difference. With Thermal Lance, they can whittle away at any Bioforces that even move a little bit too far forward. Triple Medevac drop, though, from Raze. There's a golden rule of don't base trade a Terran. And Raze is going to try and make Bales base trade him. Unfortunately, Bales still has High Templars left back at home. He's got a lot of potential warp-ins. He's even got a Colossus and some more High Templar over here. Look at this. High Templars at every one of these bases. He just knows. Quick feedback on some Medevacs and a warp-in of just even a few units will be able to handle most individual Medevac drops. Maybe even double Medevac drops. Zealot's causing some problems. Raze runs in, kills off a Colossus. Storm not being used. There it is. Killing off a few Marines. It's not too bad. It even softens up some of the Medevacs. Bales is kind of floundering right now. Photon Overcharge not being used because he doesn't have anything to Photon Overcharge right now. And Bales retreats all the way home, buying Raze enough time and space to maybe make his one final stand push across the map. Raze is even on army supply. He's going to lose a little bit over here, may even end up losing the Medevacs. But he is even on army supply. Oh, he finds the Robo Bay and the Templar Archives and a robotics facility. With these Colossus. Oh my god, the Colossus is being caught by the Liberators. Okay, it looks like most of the Colossus do make it out alive, but the Templar Archives and robotics bay get depowered. Not actually killed, though. These Storms gradually killing off the Liberators. Bales refuses to let this game fall out of his fingertips. Photon Overcharge is going to be enough to clean up the final remaining units. One Marauder survives. And one Marine. But the Medevac goes down. Medevac not quite as smart as the Marauder. Dark Templar is now being warped in as well. Going to be very helpful considering Raze has just been using all of his energy on these scans. He needs those mules. Every one of these scans is so painful for Raze to have to throw out. Throwing down a few remaining Storms. Bales is now sitting up almost 40 army supply. But he's out on the other side of the map. This is still a bit of a base trade right now. Storm still coming down and blanketing the Liberators. Scans taking out some of the DTs, but not all of them. Another one in the backside does manage to escape. Bales trying to push forward as fast as possible. If he even takes out the orbital commands, this is the problem. A DT can win this game. But that is the last real effective mining base for Bales. And he has supply blocks, so he can't warp in any more units. This is going to be a bit of a problem. Oh, so the final remaining SCVs being taken out. Raze needs to start thinking about lifting up some of these buildings and running them away. The orbital command is a little bit late. GG, well played, gets called. Bales advances on to the losers round 3. Advanced on past the losers round 3. And is now in a qualifying match versus Jon Snow, as I reveal that to you, since those series or those games will be played out in about an hour and a half. That is in fact true. Bales ended up defeating Silky 2-1, a match that is also viewable on this channel. If you go to the VODs for yesterday, you can find that particular match. But what an awesome game. That was a fun series. That was a super fun series. That's what I was saying. Jay Whipple never disappoints in the sense that he always yields some pretty fun and awesome games. And of course, Bales, always an immaculately solid player. Thank you so much for everyone that tuned in. That is going to put an end to the broadcast. I do have a few more games left over, but I might just cast them another day because, unfortunately, my voice does have limits, and I have to cast for 8 hours tomorrow at least. So, I gotta call it. The remaining matches that I have left over are Silky versus QXC, Raze versus Panda Bear Me, and Game Time versus Silky. So, I will probably have those up over on youtube.com/FearDragon64 at some point. I'll probably just do it either sometime during the week or, I don't know, maybe just I'll do it sometime and upload it to YouTube. But thank you so much for tuning in. I'm actually really happy with the viewership and everything that ended up coming out for this, because it was a somewhat impromptu thing. I've been doing it for all the past seasons of Challenger, as Challenger's now almost come to a close. There's one season of Challenger left over, and that's going to be for DreamHack Montreal, but I don't believe that's for a while. But yeah, big thank you to everyone that decided to tune in. It's seriously hugely appreciated. Big shout out to Nice Username for doing all those wonderful map intros. I know people are asking, oh, what's the music for that map intro? Man, I really love the map intros. Also, by the way, thank you to Agamemnon for letting me know about that volume. I do appreciate that. For the map intros being a little bit too loud. But yeah, that is going to be it. Let me think. In terms of shoutouts, catch me at FearDragon64. I'm doing NA and EU Ladder Heroes tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific and 12 p.m. Pacific for EU and NA respectively. So be sure to check that out. Also, if you are interested for some weird reason, you are crazy enough and so ridiculously, I don't know, irresponsible with your money that you want to buy a shirt with my face on it, then there is a shirt that is being offered, not because I'm particularly making them or anything. It's more just because Matcherino is selling a bunch of shirts with all the players that are playing in this caster tournament. So I'll post a link in the chat if you want to check it out. There's a Matcherino page for this caster tournament. It's not just me. There's also a Todd shirt. I believe that more shirts will be made available over the next week or so. But it's $30 if you are interested. And of course, all the money is going to just go to the prize pool. We have a $4,141 prize pool, which is pretty freaking sick. So be sure to check that out. There's the link to the Matcherino tweet. But yeah. Thank you. I know I had a new sub today, Epi35. Thank you so much for subscribing. Also, big thank you to Zelane, who also was donating a bunch of bits throughout the series, especially when I said I really needed a break. Trying to help me power through. But yeah, I'm going to find somebody to host. My policy on hosting is always just that I ask you to spend not a ton of your time, but I ask you that if you're looking for something to watch, give whoever we end up hosting at least 3 minutes of your time. If not more, if you have more time and you're willing to. But at least 3 minutes. If they impress you, awesome. You just found a new awesome content producer that you can go follow, you can check out, and you can just enjoy more content. That's just obviously a win for you. And if not, then you only lost 3 minutes of your time. And of course, now you know a little bit more about maybe someone that you aren't super interested in. Then that's also valuable to you. But thank you so much. That's going to be it. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh, okay, you know what? I know who I'm hosting. I know who I'm hosting. After a day of crazy, crazy games and ending on some crazy, crazy Raze StarCraft games, we're going on to host Haas. Yes, that is in fact the Haas, the man, the myth, the legend, the greatest Protoss player that ever lived. Have a wonderful, wonderful night or day, guys. And be sure to check out WCS NA Challenger day number 2 in an hour and a half. Do not miss that. Casted by Todd and Roddy. We got awesome matches like Jon Snow versus Bales as a qualifying match to see who goes to DreamHack Valencia. True versus Neeb to see who goes to DreamHack Valencia. We got Masa versus Scarlet in the winners bracket finals. Both of those players undefeated in series. Masa has not dropped a map. He 3-0'd Neeb yesterday. And then 3-0 Jon Snow. Is he going to 3-0 Scarlet too? He's proxied around 98% of his games in Challenger. I'm not actually exaggerating that number. Well, okay, I'm slightly exaggerating. He's proxied approximately 90% of his games. That's actually not an exaggeration. It's going to be so hype, guys. Be sure to check that out. We'll see you guys next time. Yo, so many banelings, tasteless, crouching on in. Is this working? Wardy, is this working? Mama.
David Kim in the Darth Sidious outfit. He's like, good, let the hate flow.